of 1 million by 1 million, aka 1M by 1M. She's here to address the entrepreneurs of AFH. We also have joined with us today our CEO and founder, our driving force, Madhura Dasgupta Sinha, who's a founder and CEO with a mission to change the gender diversity equation in our country. So over to you, Madhura.
Thank you so much, Nikita. Shamana, this is truly a special moment for us. A very, very warm welcome from all of us to you at Aspire for Her. And this is truly early in the morning for you. And it is quite late for us. But there was a huge amount of interest that we saw in your sessions. And we're hoping that this group will be able to also reach out to you and seek your advice, dip into your wealth of knowledge and sort of look at building their own businesses. Just to tell you a little bit about Aspire for Her, Shamana, we are about 3 years old. We started on Women's Day 2020. And I started it because I was very disappointed with the gender data that I saw emanating from India. As for the Global Gender Gap Index is concerned, we are almost at the bottom in terms of the economic participation of women. That made me a little disappointed because I see the best and the brightest women all around me in India. And I felt that we could do this differently. I thought someone needed to do something to solve this problem. I thought that someone could be me, which is the reason Aspire for Her was born on Women's Day 2020. We've come some way from there, but we are trying to add 1 million women to the workforce by 2025, 10 million by 2030. And our mission is to motivate women to enter and stay in the workforce. And
congratulations, wonderful mission, and very happy to support your work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we do this by using the power of communities and networks. And today we have 16 communities which we built. We have about 250,000 members, mentors, and supporters at Aspire for Her. And we built communities in a somewhat unique fashion. We use a 5-point model to build communities and our own magic formula, which we have stolen from a much more famous formula, is EQ is equal to MCQ. And EQ stands for where we want all women in India to be, either in employment, in entrepreneurship, or in education, which leads to one of these two. And M, C, C, and C are the 4 critical success factors to change mindsets. We're looking at mentors and role models. That's our M. Our first C is courses, cohorts, and learning. This is about skilling, upskilling, and reskilling. Our next C is all around career previews. And this is stems from our strong belief, if she can see it, she can be it. That's why having people like you on our platform is so important. They need to see your journey. They need to get inspired. And that is exactly how they can also follow your footsteps in some way at some point in time. And the last C is, of course, our community. One of our most beloved communities is entrepreneurial. You see the wordplay there. It's all about women entrepreneurs because we don't want the women in our community only to be job seekers. We want them to be job creators as well.
Right.
So that's a little bit about us. And with that, I'd love to welcome Rika Roy. Rika has just joined us 2 days ago at Aspire for Her. Rika has spent a lifetime in the media industry, and very, very happy to welcome her as the leader of Entrepreneury and a whole lot of other things as well. But I will hand the mic over to Rika so that Shamana, you can discuss your journey and then also perhaps answer some of the questions that the community has. So thank you so much once again for joining us. A warm welcome to you. We'd love to work more with you. Looking forward to the roundtables. And a big shout out to Maureen, who ensured that all our work got done very, very smoothly. She was very professional, very prompt. And thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Badhura, for that lovely introduction. Big welcome to you, Shramana, at Aspire for Her. We are very proud and in awe of the work that you've been doing. And for the benefit of our entrepreneurs, I have to say that you are the founder and of 1Mby1M, which is the first and only global virtual accelerator. You have been LinkedIn's top 10 voices a few years ago. Shramana, I really have to start with you having sailed the dot-com wave. And in 2000, it burst. 10 years you spent in consulting. 1Mby1M was your fourth business. What led you to start 1Mby1M, and what was really the thought behind it? Because the name stands out for me.
Yeah, so I'm a computer scientist. I'm like a really hardcore computer scientist. In the mid-90s, so I did all my schooling, college, after high school, college, university, everything in the Massachusetts area. I went to Smith College. I did computer science and economics at Smith College. Then I did computer science at MIT. I was in the PhD program at the Laboratory for Computer Science at MIT. And we were building a parallel computer. So this is like as geeky as it gets. And I was writing the performance evaluation system of this machine that we were building. It was one of the first 2 parallel computing machines ever. So I loved it. I really loved it. And I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur because I'm an entrepreneur's daughter. This is a story that you will hear over and over again. People who come from entrepreneurial genes actually end up pursuing entrepreneurial paths. And my great-grandfather actually was also an entrepreneur on my mother's side. So I must have somehow the genes kind of multiplied and mutated and got me, and I had this really strong entrepreneurial force, and the internet happened in the middle of all this. So 1994, I was in my office at MIT with 2 other office mates, and one of my office mates, Ken, turned around and said, "Hey, Shramana, have you seen Mosaic yet?" And I'm like, "What's Mosaic?" And Mosaic, if you recall, you probably don't recall, it was the first browser ever to, it was before Netscape. So we were tinkering with Mosaic, and I looked at that and I was like, oh my God, this is going to change everything. And it did change everything. And that was the point where I decided that I was going to start a company, take my master's, not stay for the PhD, and go ahead and pursue my entrepreneurial path, which is what I did. And that went on for 3 years. I mean, not 3 years, 3 companies through the mid-90s till the end of the dot-com crash in 2000. I founded 3 startups as CEO, raised money, etc., did the whole intense, Silicon Valley game. I moved to Silicon Valley in 96. And then I spent 10 years consulting, both for large companies, because the money in consulting is in large companies. And, as an entrepreneur, you figure out how to make money also. It's important that you figure out how to make money. So I was, charging a lot of money and doing consulting projects, but my heart was always in startups. So I somehow or the other was finding my way back into talking to startups and entrepreneurs. I was running MIT's entrepreneurship program in Silicon Valley. So, and I was also finding ways to consult on the venture capital side. So I would work with VCs and, for VCs. So in that process was the genesis of 1Mby1M. And there was one very key idea that came through, which was there were many companies that I reviewed on behalf of the VCs that I was working with that looked to me like good businesses, but they would not necessarily be fundable, quote unquote. And this is a notion, if you're thinking about doing a venture-funded company, you have to really internalize the notion of what is fundable and what is not fundable. And we were rejecting companies left, right, and center. I'll come back to this issue in a moment, but let me just tell you answer the question that Rika asked. So so we were turning down companies left, right, and center. And I was like, this looks like a good company. We're turning it down. Why? The entrepreneur is getting discouraged and upset and sad and all of those things. And they're probably getting discouraged because they're getting, no's from 40 VCs. So I thought about it and I thought, okay, fine. The whole incubator accelerator industry of the world acts as a feeder into the angels and VCs. I am going to do something to work with people who are not quote unquote fundable, and then either help them get to fundability or help them get to sustainability. There are two important concepts here, fundability or sustainability. You can be a successful business only if you eventually become a sustainable business. What is a sustainable business? Entrepreneurship equals customers, revenues, and profits. Profits is a key word, right? If you get to profitability, then you can sustain yourself and you can build at any pace that you want. You don't have to build at venture pace. Venture pace is $0 to $100 million in 5 to 7 years. That's hypergrowth. Hypergrowth is not a normal way of building a business. Very few companies succeed in doing a hypergrowth journey. So you are going to have to figure out whether your company can grow at that pace. And if not, then don't chase funding. Build the company with customers and revenues, and then get to profitability and you have a successful business. To me, success is not just unicorns. Success is not just venture funded companies. Success is any sustainable business. So this is what I decided to build. Now, there's a little bit of a personal story in this. In 2009, I got diagnosed by fluke with a precancerous cyst on my pancreas. And that was an unsettling moment, because until I got the full, diagnosis, which took several months and, to go through all the tests and everything, I had to contemplate my own mortality. And I asked myself, so, what do I want to do? My first thought was, oh, damn, I have a lot of talent. And if I get cut short now, all this talent is going to be wasted. So I wouldn't be able to do any good with it. But I did get properly treated. Stanford Hospital is a fabulous hospital next door. And I got half my pancreas taken out. And then when I was recovering from this, that's when I came up with 1 million by 1 million, because I thought, okay, now I'm going to do something that is really a legacy building work. And that was kind of the confluence of both the business observation and the business analysis and the personal moment that created the 1 million by 1 million launch.
Shravana, you've spoken about it on various platforms, the concept of 1 million by 1 million. Would you like to tell our entrepreneurs what 1 million by 1 million really means?
Yes, so 1 million by 1 million in the name is the mission. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And there are like other things buried in that. So, job creation and GDP creation and all that, $1 trillion in global GDP, 10 million jobs. But really, the essence of it is I want to support not just the less than 1% venture scale entrepreneurs who are going to be able to raise money, but also the other 99% of entrepreneurs who will have to build their businesses organically in a bootstrap fashion. So bootstrapping has been a very key concept in the 1 million by 1 million mission.
Would you talk to us about bootstrapping? Because I've been hearing you talk about bootstrapping with at many platforms, and explain the concept of bootstrapping to us, please.
Yeah, so bootstrapping is basically building a business with customer money. You try to get to revenues as quickly as possible. Customer money is revenue. You get to revenue as quickly as possible and as swiftly, as efficiently as possible without burning huge amounts of money. So there are two completely different schools of thought in how you build a business. And 1 million by 1 million represents one school of thought. The other school of thought is led by Y Combinator, the blitzscaling school of thought, right? So Y Combinator, Techstars, and most of the high-profile accelerators, except for 1 million by 1 million, pursue the blitzscaling school of thought. And blitzscaling is raise as much money as possible, spend as much money as possible, hire as many people as possible, and then, let's see what happens. And the idea is that most of these companies, 9 out of 10 are going to fail. But one of them, and this is all thinking from the portfolio of the VC, a venture capitalist has a portfolio. Entrepreneurs like us don't have portfolios. We do one venture at a time, right? So when our venture fails, that is very costly because we have put in years of our lives into it. So in that thought process of the venture capital driven thought process that, okay, one needs to succeed, the other 9 can fail, are 9 lives or 9 times a bunch of other lives that are, factored into that. A lot of people's lives that are going to fail in that. And I don't subscribe to this concept. Our philosophy is bootstrap first, raise money later, or not at all. So bootstrapping doesn't mean you cannot raise money. In fact, the truth is today, VCs have also figured out that bootstrapping is a very good way to start a business. Without outside money, you're validating the business and getting to a point where it's vastly de-risked. So the point at which VCs come in, they are getting a much lower risk entry point into a venture. And they love that. And I kind of joke about this. VCs love to come to the rescue of victory. Right? Think about it. You have taken the risk. You have done the heavy lifting to get to validation and so forth. And they can come in and do basically growth financing.
Mhm.
When you have bootstrap first and you're raising money later, their VCs are not coming in and doing venture capital. They're doing growth capital. And growth capital is a lot less risk, lot lower risk than venture capital. So even if they're calling themselves venture capitalists, they're not venture capitalists, they're growth capitalists. Go ahead.
I have to ask you, you call 1 million by 1 million a knowledge platform. Do you also fund businesses?
We don't fund businesses. We work with hundreds of investors. So yes, we fund businesses, but we are not a fund ourselves. And that's a design decision I made, because if 1 million by 1 million became a fund, then immediately that other 99% would have to disappear from my sphere of work. I would have to focus on finding fundable deals and focus our entire energy on that same less than 1% that everybody else in the venture industry is chasing. And I didn't want to do that.
Now, let me ask you a few questions that entrepreneurs would love to ask you. If I have a concept and I came to you, would I get funded for my concept? You've got funded for your concept, Shramana. How easy or difficult is it today to get concept funding?
Well, concept funding doesn't happen. Concept funding happens. It used to happen when I was a very young entrepreneur in my 20s. Concept funding did happen. There was a very short period during the dot-com bubble when concept funding did happen. And yes, I managed to raise my third venture, I did concept funding. But remember, by that time, I had already done 2 ventures. I was known quantity, people knew me. So that's the issue, that is the issue, that you have to be a proven entrepreneur, somebody who's a known quantity for the investors, for them to write a check on a concept. So concept funding still happens only in that segment. So if you're a first-time entrepreneur without track record, nobody knows you, you will not be able to raise concept financing. It's not going to happen.
Shramana, if I am an entrepreneur and I come to you for mentoring, what are the 5 or the 7 steps you're going to take me through?
Right. So you are going to need to do positioning. Positioning is a poorly understood topic because we are in 2023. The commercial internet began in 1994, right? So almost 30 years have passed and a tremendous amount of stuff has happened in the technology industry. So the likelihood that you're going to find a gap has gone lower. The good news is every few years, a new wave of technology comes in, and that opens up new possibilities of differentiated ways of solving new problems or solving old problems. So you're going to have to position your venture, and we excel in this positioning as a discipline. I mean, all the money I made in consulting was in positioning, actually. I'm very good at it. So positioning is something that you're going to have to understand. If you don't know this, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you don't understand positioning, you need to study positioning. It's something that we cover very intensely in the 1M1M curriculum. You can learn with us, you can learn other ways, but you have to learn it. Then you have to validate. So validation is a requirement. Even if you're bootstrapping, validation is a requirement, because we have bootstrapping techniques that we use that are controversial. I actually aggressively support bootstrapping with a paycheck. If you have a job, don't quit the job, because you have so much learning to do and you need to pay your bills. In whatever sphere of life, whatever stage of life, whatever way of life you're in, you have to pay your bills. So it's okay, bootstrap with a paycheck, get started, learn all these things, and put one step before the other. You can quit your job when you're ready. And readiness is a personal question. We can talk about that more if you want, but bootstrapping with a paycheck is one way that you can quit after validation, potentially. Are you going to put in a huge amount of money in building a product? One of the philosophies in 1Mby1M is do not write a line of code until you've validated. So now, then you have to put validation, you have to do positioning first, validation second, and positioning and validation are going to go hand in hand, because sometimes your positioning is wrong. Your first positioning hypothesis can be wrong. And then you have to pivot and you have to figure out another positioning and so on and so forth. So writing code in the middle of this is completely counterproductive, because you're throwing away large amounts of code, and writing code is expensive. So that's, so positioning, validation, market sizing. Market sizing is something you have to learn, and you have to learn bottom-up TAM analysis. Total available market is TAM. Bottom-up TAM analysis is something you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn very lean team building. And like, for instance, I have built 1Mby1M as a virtual company at a time when virtual companies were hardly even known in 2010. Today, virtual companies have become common, and there are a lot more ways that you can hire for virtual companies and so forth. So you have to learn all of that. How many did I say there? It's a variety of other things. You have to figure out how to go to market, customer acquisition, how to raise money. If you decide to raise money, when are you going to raise money? How are you going to raise money? All of that.
Brilliant. Now, if I am not a tech entrepreneur, do I still get mentored by Shramana Mitra?
If you're doing a tech venture, yes, tech or tech-enabled services. E-commerce is a tech-enabled service, right? We do a lot of e-commerce. Online education is a tech-enabled service. We have companies like this in our portfolio, and it's a way of a style of entrepreneurship that has become extremely popular, and the market is full of them, is online tutoring. Now, the chances of you getting an online tutoring venture funded today is very low, because the market is so full of them. There are hundreds and hundreds of online tutoring companies, but it's a nice business. We have companies that are building very nice businesses in online tutoring, and it's a global need. So you could sit in India and build businesses for all over the world. And don't forget, there are opportunities of doing business with countries like Africa opening up, countries in Africa opening up. Africa is a very hungry young population, and there is a shortage of skills. There's enormous skill development requirement there. So don't just think of the US as your market or Western Europe as your market. There are lots of other, new opportunities opening up that you can, today's new entrepreneurs should be thinking about. So I'll go to your next question.
Well, you spoke about Africa being hungry. India's startup ecosystem is also very hungry. Shramana, you must have mentored businesses in India. Talk a little bit about the businesses that you've mentored in India and some of those, standout businesses that you have mentored in the past 13 years of your journey.
So the first story I will tell you is before I started 1 million by 1 million in 2007, I had just started writing, I think, my Forbes column. Maybe some of you may know I had a Forbes column until I started 1Mby1M. I had a Forbes column and then I gave it up to put full effort into the premium program. I mean, writing a column every week is a long time. So I got a pitch from a company nobody knew about called Zoho. And Sridhar Bamboo comes to my house, to my living room, and tells me the story of Zoho. And I used to do these entrepreneur journeys stories already. Entrepreneur journeys is now, we've done thousands of interviews with the who's who of tech. And that's the case study program that we use to teach 1Mby1M. So 1Mby1M, by the way, the curriculum is not taught just by me. I have brought together thousands of successful entrepreneurs. So you really get to learn from the who's who of this industry. So back in 2007, I was already doing the 1Mby1M, the entrepreneur journeys interviews, and Sridhar came to pitch me. And I was listening to him and I was like, wow, this is fascinating. It's an incredible story. And he had these hundreds of people in high school graduates in Chennai that he was teaching how to program. And it was like everything, he was turning every assumption on its head. He had revenues. He had actually, Sridhar had done this network management software company first. And then that turned into a profitable business, a very small profitable business, but he had enough profits with which to tinker with other things. And then he started Zoho, which was basically a Salesforce.com CRM knockoff. And he dropped the price to 1/6 of the Salesforce.com price and started selling to small businesses, and it took off. And Sridhar was already doing good revenues with this venture. And the VCs had figured out that Sridhar had an interesting little business and wanted to fund him. And Sridhar didn't want venture money. He doesn't like venture money. So nobody wanted, but the media, the entrepreneurship media only used to write about companies that were funded. So Sridhar said, well, nobody wants to write about me because I'm not going to raise venture capital. So I wrote about him first, this big story, big interview story on my blog, and then I wrote a story on Forbes, and that's how the world found out about Zoho. And Zoho today is $1 billion revenue company. If it were valued today, it would be a more than $10 billion market cap company, if not more. So no, I did not mentor Sridhar Bamboo, but I gave him a hand at a point when nobody gave him a hand. So it was also for me incredibly inspiring. And I found already in my head, there were all these bootstrapping concepts coming together, and Sridhar's story gelled that for me. And I was like, okay, this is the classic archetype of the bootstrap startup. And you can be successful, you can be profitable, and we need more of these. So that's going back to our origin. This was before 1Mby1M was founded in its current format. Now, after 1Mby1M was founded in 2010, in 2011, I did a partnership with Microsoft, and I was in India giving speeches and doing, roundtables, in-person roundtables, mentoring people, etc. And I was hosted by Thai Chennai, and Girish Mathrubootham came to pitch me his company, Freshdesk. And Girish had been a product manager at Zoho, and he took that same concept, and he was going to do help desk, online SaaS help desk for small businesses. So, and Girish joined the 1Mby1M premium program, and I mentored him, and we raised money. We kind of got it to paying customers within a few months, did the whole page, TAM analysis, everything. And the first money was, we had plenty of opportunities to raise money. That's the thing. If you can get your company to a certain level of validation and fundability, and we're very good at helping you with that, raising money is not that hard, As I said, VCs love to come to the rescue of victory. So if you can show that you have already de-risked this thing, then, and today in India, there's so much money, right? So many investors are working in India, and no matter where you are, I've been having lots of conversations with the Eastern India ecosystems right now. I don't know if any of you, I know Madhura you are, but I don't know if anybody else in the room is from Eastern India. There's a lot like, oh, there is no venture capital here. I'm like, when we raised money for Freshdesk in 2011, there was no ecosystem in Chennai either. We raised money from Bangalore, Accel Partners in Bangalore. Now, if you're in Calcutta today, or if you're in Assam today, or if you're in Orissa today, and if you get to a point where you have a good deal, there is money in Bangalore, there's money in Chennai, there's money in Hyderabad, there's no problem with money. I can get your company funded. So, and the other thing is, these days, even US money goes to India. In the pandemic, people have started writing checks without meeting people. If you have the right, stuff, if you have the right goods, they will fund you from, and especially if you come referenced by somebody, credible, you can raise money. So don't get obsessed with, oh, there is no funding in my part of the world. That's bullshit.
Shramana, most of your courses are available on Udemy. Would you tell our entrepreneurs how they are priced and what are the levels of these different courses that you offer?
Yeah. So Udemy, we did this partnership with Udemy in 2021. And my whole decision-making process was to drop the price to as low as we possibly could and get on a platform that has all the infrastructure to, work with millions of entrepreneurs. And they do. They have 25 million people, I think, that are learning on Udemy. And they have, what we've done is we've released, I think, over 70 mini courses. So the full 1M curriculum, which you can access with 1M Basic, you can access on our website as well. And that's like thousands of hours of curriculum. That's thousands of case studies, thousands of lectures. It's a lot of material, but it's very well organized. On Udemy, what we've done is we have taken specific topics, what would be sub-modules in our curriculum, in the 1M curriculum on our website, and release them as short courses. And these courses are priced between, list price is between, $40 to $100. And then Udemy discounts at 85% often and gives you for very low. And in India, they do differential pricing. So in India, I think they're selling these courses at 500, 600 rupees. So maybe 800 rupees. So you can really get it at, you spend that money on a dinner. So you can really get it for very, very inexpensive prices. And what I would suggest you do is start on Udemy. start studying on Udemy, my courses, because in each course, if you, let's say you spend 10 hours on a course, you will meet probably another 7, 8 really interesting entrepreneurs through that course. So you're not learning just from me, you're learning from another 7, 8 people, sometimes, 15 people who are really, really successful, interesting people offering you insights, offering you inspiration, offering you little nuances of how to do things, how they have done things, and that has worked, what has failed, etc. And that's invaluable. So if you make a habit, let's say you're doing bootstrapping with a paycheck, make a habit of every day doing 1 hour of one of my courses. So if you do that for a year, over, let's say 300 days, if you don't do it every day, 300 days, you've learned a lot. If you can do more, it's like a gym membership. If you do more, you'll learn more. It's working out. You have to work out. And, you can also join 1M Basic, which is the whole curriculum, whole 1M curriculum. We charge $99 a month. We don't do differential pricing. It's the same price everywhere. And what we have extra in 1M Basic is all our core curriculum material. The core curriculum is 7 topics: positioning, validation, customer acquisition, bootstrapping, financing, team building, market sizing. Now, of these, only bootstrapping and financing you will find on Udemy. The rest you will not find on Udemy. So if you want to do, this is like a mini MBA. If you want to do the core curriculum, you're going to have to come to 1M Basic or Premium. Premium is our full acceleration program. So if you want mentoring on a regular basis from me, you would have to come to Premium. If you want fundraising help, you would have to come to Premium. And Premium is $1,000 annual membership fee. But again, it's 1 year of, all you can eat. So it's still very, very reasonably priced.
Shravana, I'm curious to know how many million people have you touched already?
Well, one of the numbers which is very public, right? I have over 450,000 followers on LinkedIn. So that's our largest social media platforms. We're on multiple platforms, but that's our largest social media platform. So, and what I love about all this is there are people who have not joined 1M in any, paid way. So they are not in 1M Basic or Premium, but they have been reading my blog for, I was about to say centuries, but they've been reading my blog for, years and years, certainly over a decade. And just the other day, and it happens very often, actually, the other day, somebody came to the roundtable and said, I've been following your blog since 2016, and my company has reached $2.5 million in revenue. And I love it, So as far as I'm concerned, as long as you're using our material to learn in whatever format you learn is fine with me. We have created opportunities for you, entry points into 1M in different price points. You have the Udemy price point. By the way, just a little trick on Udemy. Udemy runs promotions several times a month. So you will be able to, either you catch one of those promotions or you come to our blog or my LinkedIn and do a search on the name of the month and Udemy coupons, our Udemy coupons. So July Udemy coupons on our blog will give you all our coupons, so you can use it anytime you want, and you'll have similar discount coupons. So
Shravana,
great entry points, yeah.
You have to talk to us about the roundtable. You briefly mentioned about people coming on roundtables. What is the format? What is the format? People come, and what do you typically do in those roundtables?
So roundtables are essentially working sessions, safe working sessions, mentoring sessions. I will mentor you on your venture, on your project. And there are free roundtables that happen on a regular basis, usually Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. Pacific time, which is 8:30 p.m. for India during the daylight saving time, and 9:30 p.m. for during the winter time. And essentially, you get a slot, about a 10-minute slot, where you present your concept and what you've done, and I will coach you essentially. And this is the same format in which the premium membership roundtables happen. This is over WebEx, by the way. On the premium member roundtables, it's exactly the same format, but you can come as many times as you want. In the free roundtables, you can only pitch for free once. But in the premium membership, you can come as much as you want.
I think that's brilliant for our entrepreneurs. Before I let you go, I have to ask you one X factor of 1 million by 1 million. I'm sure there are a lot of X factors. The one standout thing you would like to tell all of us.
Well, you cannot do any accelerator without actually physically being somewhere. And here you can do it from anywhere you want. You can do it from Manipur, you can do it from Udaipur, you can do it from Sikkim, wherever you want to do it from, you can do it. And we have exactly the same standard, same caliber of service for everybody everywhere. So that's powerful, right?
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
True example of democracy, I would say. Thank you very much, Shramana, for joining us. Over to you, Madhura.
I think we'll open up for entrepreneurs to ask any questions that they may have for Shramana. But before that happens, Shramana, one question from my side, we see these terrible statistics in terms of women founders. And I love the way in which you talked about the 99% and 1%, because I think that's a very important theme that many of us overlook. And you're right that many founders tend to get disappointed by the fact that VCs have refused them, and they feel that, oh, am I doing everything wrong? And is my business not really, not really worth talking
Good
about?
enough. Not good enough.
Yeah. So good enough.
Don't fall into this trap of I am not good enough or my business is not good enough.
Yes.
Especially not in the context of venture funding. You have to define how you want to play your hand. This is a game. You have to figure out how you define the rules of the game. Don't let other people define the rules of the game for you. And especially if you are trying to do, this is I've given this talk many times at various women's forums. Running a venture funded startup is a very intense thing. It basically takes over your life. Right. So if you have the ambition of having a more balanced life where you want to raise children and have a functional family, you do have the prerogative to choose not to do a venture funded startup. See, I'm not doing a venture funded startup right now. I have done venture funded startups in the past. In 1Mby1M, I chose not to do a venture funded startup because I don't want VCs running my life. And that is my choice. I have the prerogative of making that choice. I was offered venture capital for 1Mby1M. I didn't take it. So don't feel peer pressure or media pressure that unless you raise venture capital, you're not good enough. That's complete bullshit. You can choose not to raise venture capital.
Thank you. I think a lot of our entrepreneurs will feel very, very motivated to that. And perhaps, the whole 2% number, that is, only less than 2% of women founders actually get venture funded. Perhaps it is somewhere connected with what you're saying as well.
There is also another major factor that people are not acknowledging sufficiently is the STEM pipeline.
Right.
The science and technology education pipeline lacks women. That's a very lopsided statistic, right? Not enough science and technology disciplines have enough women. So if you cannot do a tech startup unless you come with some technology background, or you can do it, you have to pair up with somebody who has the tech background. So obviously there is friction in that process. When I was a student, a computer science student, there was this number, the STEM number was terrible, right? So I, when I came to Silicon Valley, I was very used to being the only woman in every room I entered. That didn't really bother me, I have no problem being the only woman in any room. So get used to it, and I think the STEM pipeline is improving. There are more women studying STEM disciplines and so on and so forth, and that's fine. And the other thing is there are a lot of non-technical fields that are getting touched by technology. My third company, 1Mby1M, was the first ever fashion e-commerce company in the world. And I think the whole field of fashion e-commerce is very underdeveloped. I actually have a Udemy course on fashion e-commerce. It's something that I really like, and it's better done by women.
Right.
Women's fashion should not be done by men. Women's fashion e-commerce should be done by women or gay men. They have very good taste.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll open it up for questions to all our entrepreneurs. And a lot of what you said, Shramana, resonated so deeply with me personally that I will definitely be a part of the roundtable when you come to us. I know Maureen has set up some slots for us, I think sometime later in this month. So, and I know that you
by
have
the
time
way, you're, all of you are completely, invited to come to any roundtable. Just go look at the free roundtable page on our website, find yourself a slot, and we will try our best. Maureen runs this whole show. Maureen will make sure that you find a slot. So at the moment, there are roundtables every week. So put yourself on the registration sheet, and we'll figure out how to, work with you. And Madhura and her team are working out custom roundtables where the focus is going to be on your group as well. So we will do some of those, but you will have plenty of opportunity to get on the roundtables.
Perfect.
Questions?
Perfect. Yes, so we'll open it up for everybody. Who wants to go first?
No questions? Very
Hello.
shy.
Okay, my name is Tina. I'm an entrepreneur in the e-commerce space. So I have a question here. Hi, Shramana. I heard the wonderful conversations. It is really nice, very educative. I am new to this. In fact, I come from a corporate background, and I started something where we engage with homemakers to convert them into home entrepreneurs. That is the idea is to sell all the homemade and handmade products in the platform. So one of the things which I have faced, or rather we are bootstrapped, and actually currently STPI, Software Tech Park of India, has funded. They have given some seed funding. But one thing which we have felt is the gap. We have started seeing a small amount of revenue, but that is not a break even for sure. And the gap between to make it profitable, that's a huge gap, right? So can you just explain how we can bridge the gap between expense to the profitability without an investment? Because you said once you make it profitable, then people are really interested in investments. So that's a huge gap that, yeah, I found it very.
So don't assume that every venture is fundable. You have to get to profitability. So you don't have to get to profitability because you're going to get fundable. You're going to get to profitability because you're going to get sustainable. Because if you don't get to profitability, you're going to go out of business. That's the main thought process that you have to keep in mind. Because slow growth ventures can be profitable, but are not fundable. So your venture may be a slower growth venture.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's a wonderful idea and everything, but you're gonna. So it's hard for me to. So I would like you to come to a roundtable.
Sure.
So I can work with your venture. You need to. Maureen will give you guidelines on how to present, what to present, and I would like to actually work with you and give you more concrete ideas.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I need to understand what you're doing, how you're going about customer acquisition and so forth, and give you concrete guidelines, but I'll be happy to do that.
Sure, sure. Thank you very much. I'll be more than happy to come there.
There is a roundtable on Thursday morning, and
Yes.
if you register for that, Maureen will make sure that you
Sure,
have us.
sure. I will get back. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ramana.
You're welcome. Who else?
Any more questions?
All right.
Sunita Chen now.
I am planning to start a fashion e-commerce for LGBTQ customers. As you just said, that gay men make good fashion designers. Can they make good co-founders? Okay. It's a very interesting question. I've never heard that phrase this way. So nobody across, no demographic across the board can be a good co-founder. A good co-founder is somebody that you have worked with, you have a good rapport with, and you know well, and you are compatible, you have complementary skill sets and so forth. So, you know, there are gay men and there are gay men. So this is not a good way to frame the question. The right way to frame the question about how to find a co-founder is somebody that you know, because a decision to become co-founders with somebody is a permanent decision. You cannot get divorced from your co-founder. So be very careful about whom you choose to be co-founders with. We have a whole section in the team building module of 1Mby1M of our curriculum where I talk about a lot of nuances of this issue. It's a tricky issue. Don't pair up with somebody off the street randomly whom you don't know. It's like going for a one-night stand and deciding to get married. You don't do such things. That's stupid. I am a jewelry designer and have a small startup on Arunika Shastri. I am a jewelry designer and have a small startup since last 3 years. I wish to build my own brand, the online jewelry retail space. Great, great. Why not? Wonderful. If you are interested in, you know, discussing the nuances and the specifics, please come to a roundtable and I'll be happy to work with you. There is by the way, there are 3 e-commerce courses on Udemy that, since many of you are doing e-commerce ventures, there's the fashion e-commerce course, there's an e-commerce course, and there's a 2-sided e-commerce marketplace course. So all 3 courses are nuances of e-commerce, and you may want to take a look at those. You'll learn a lot. The e-commerce course is very large, actually. It's one of our largest courses, lots of case studies, including jewelry. So Arunika's question is that it is important to understand that whether one should know how to sell jewelry per se, or how to sell online at the outset. You have to know how to sell jewelry, and again, within jewelry, there's all kinds of positioning decisions you're going to have to make. Jewelry is a large field, you know, fashion is a very large field. So you have to position within that, and then accordingly, all those other decisions of how to sell, how to acquire customers, you know, how to go about it, all of that is going to be derivatives of that positioning decision. So jewelry is broad. You have to narrow that down. Neha Mahendrakar Vijay Kumar. Thank you so much, Ramana, for all the information you shared. I am the founder of Nevi Labs, a STEM experiential learning platform. I'm currently validating my product. Could you please let me know what would be the first things that will be required for validating? So is it, again, you know, I would prefer that you come to a roundtable with more information. There's a lot of questions that are coming to my mind. Again, demographics, STEM what? STEM college, STEM K through 12, STEM middle school, STEM high school, what's STEM? And each of those have different, go-to-market strategies. So you have to, all of you, remember, one thing is you have to narrow things down. You cannot be everything to everyone. You have to be as precise, as laser focused as possible on what is your positioning, what is your target audience, and then everything emanates from that decision. Secondary and higher secondary grade students. And what is experiential learning? So I can't turn this into a roundtable. Please come to a roundtable. I will work with you specifically, but I don't want to turn this into a roundtable.
I think we have come to the end of our hour-long session with Shramana. For all you entrepreneurs, Shramana will be listening to your elevator pitches. 5 of you can come back on the 27th of July to pitch to Shramana and learn a lot more from her. Thank you very, very much for joining us.
Very
Thank
nice
you.
to see
Thank you
all of
very
you
much.
and to meet you, the organizers. I know you've been working very hard with Maureen to get this together. So thank you. And thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you very much. We'll definitely be there on the 27th. Look forward to lots more entrepreneurs signing up. 5 of them get a chance on 27th, but I'm sure there will be more opportunities. As Shramana said, roundtables are right out there. Maureen has put the link out. And even if we get a slot in another roundtable, not necessarily only meant for entrepreneurs, I'm sure there will be place for all of us.
Just go to the 1Mby1M.com website and go to free public roundtables, and there are lots and lots of slots available. So go ahead and help yourself. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, and have a great day ahead. And good night to all of you, everybody listening in. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.